In recent years, AI has become a larger and larger story. From Google botching their Bard rollout to my LinkedIn feed being absolutely bombarded with milquetoast demonstrations from influencers telling me that this technology will change everything. Although this new and novel technology will transform the way we create and consume content, there are things that our culture hasn't seemed to grasp yet. Specifically, what is and isn't an okay use of AI. There are growing concerns about its impact on people, culture, and society. And given that AI is so new, the morality and ethics of its uses hasn't been agreed within our society as a whole. In this video, I'd like to unpack a specific example of a popular use of AI. This will allow me to talk about something concretely, rather than on the subject as a whole. On Monday, January the 30th, 2023, popular streamer Brandon Ewing, also known as Atrioc, was found to have purchased and watched non-consensual sexually explicit AI-generated videos of his colleagues. This incident sparked a heated debate about the use of AI in creating such content and its implications for privacy and consent. Atrioc immediately apologized and deactivated many of his social media accounts. I want to explore the ethical and moral questions raised by this event and discuss why people are upset, as well as why they both should and shouldn't be. Throughout this video, I hope to shed light on when AI content is not ethical, and some thoughts about what individuals should do as AI continues to develop. As a note, none of the arguments and analogies in this video are here to defend the streamer in any way. They're used to have something concrete to unpack. It's important to remember that distributing any kind of pornographic material without the consent of the parties involved is a crime. In several states, distributing deepfakes of someone else without their consent is a crime too. Harassing someone with deepfakes of them is a crime almost anywhere in the world. However, in this video, we won't be talking about the distribution of this content, but rather the production and use of it.
On Monday, January the 30th, 2023, popular streamer Brandon Ewing, also known as Atrioc, was found to have purchased and watched non-consensual, sexually explicit AI-generated videos of his colleagues. One of the creators, QT's Cinderella, that had explicit AI-generated videos generated of her, decided to stream on Twitch to address what happened to her. On stream, she said, "This is what it looks like to feel violated. This is what it looks like to feel taken advantage of. This is what it looks like to see yourself naked against your will being spread all over the internet." Here's a thought experiment. This thought experiment won't make you feel good. It won't solve any problems. It will feel dehumanizing. You may feel disgusted. But remember, it's just a thought experiment. Let's imagine someone using AI to make deep fake pornography of Mario from the popular franchise The Super Mario Brothers, then posts that online. Like real raunchy stuff, Mario choking on dick, Mario with a fat ass, whatever floats your boat. After those posts become popular, Nintendo Corp creates a video of Mario crying on stream, talking about how he feels violated, talking about how he didn't consent to this, and he's taking a break from being in any games for a year. How would you feel? Would you feel empathy for Mario? Or would you feel like this is a cheap ploy by the Nintendo Corporation to manipulate you into demanding more Mario video games? Now let us imagine the following corporate structure. Let us imagine a media company is formed as an LLC in the USA. That media company hires one of its shareholders to be an employee. The employee agrees to a revenue share agreement with the corporation, as well as licenses their likeness to the corporation. The corporation then uses the employee and their likeness to negotiate distribution and royalty agreements with several media networks. The media networks then distribute the content through their networks. After this is done, an unlicensed third party uses the media broadcasted to train an AI to produce pornography of the likeness broadcasted. The corporation, upon hearing this, issues a contract to their employee to produce new content to cry about how that employee didn't consent to this. The employee sets up their cameras, puts on a costume, hangs lights, and issues a press release about their new content. How would you feel? Why does this feel different? We know the employee doesn't hold the rights to their own likeness. The corporation does. The corporation may pursue legal action for an unlicensed use of their likeness. But that's no different than the Mario thought experiment. So why does the second example feel different? Is it because people have a relationship with the streamer? Is it because the streamer appears human? Is it because they are human? In Jean Baudrillard's work, Simulacra and Simulation, he discusses the concept of the hyperreal, in which the reality of a thing is replaced by images and signs that represent it. The AI-generated pornographic images are not depicting something real. The streamer or influencer featured in these images never actually posed for those pictures. They are not pictures of her, but rather pictures that make use of her likeness and the symbols that represent her online persona. However, they do not capture her authentic self or lived experience. These AI systems are able to generate highly realistic images by analyzing countless examples of a person's photos, videos, and other media, identifying patterns in their appearance and facial features, and then synthesizing new images that mimic those patterns. But in doing so, they construct a kind of hyperreality, a version of this person that seems realistic but is ultimately hollow and lacking in substance. It reflects popular ideas and fantasies surrounding the person, rather than the multidimensional human being behind the public image. While these AI-generated images may appear indistinguishable from real photos at a superficial level, they fail to convey the depth, nuance, and humanity of an actual person. They transform individuals into commodified objects and symbols that can be endlessly reproduced, packaged, and sold as a kind of simulated experience. There is discussion from some people that AI-generated porn poses no ethical issues. While some of those individuals may be misogynistic incels, others likely feel uncomfortable with this topic for different reasons. While deepfake technology is advancing rapidly and becoming increasingly realistic, it is still not actually depicting a real person experiencing a real event. However, the visual verisimilitude of the deepfakes can make viewers feel as though they are witnessing something that is genuinely happening to the person portrayed, even when it is not. There is a kind of psychological trickery at work that creates discomfort. The viewer knows at a rational level that the events are simulated and fabricated, but their instinctual emotional reactions are as if the events were genuine. This conflict between the rational and emotional responses produces an uneasy feeling. The discomfort arises not from any harm done to a real individual, but rather from the realism with which the simulation depicts a person, making their likeness seem as if it is experiencing something non-consensual or inappropriate, even when the actual person is not. A lot of the outrage from this incident sounds similar to outrage around sexual assault. This kind of outrage uses words like consent, sexualize, and disgusting. This type of dialogue sounds like it's fitting, given that there are similar characteristics between this incident and our perception of sexual assault. Things like 1. The incident involves sex in some way. 2. The victim is a woman. 3. The perpetrator is a man. 4. The victim did not consent to the part of the incident that involved sex. So it feels like the correct way to determine the morality of the situation is through the lens of sexual assault. But when you look a little closer, the comparison gets a little shaky. Let's reframe the incident and see if this still makes sense. The perpetrator did not intend to broadcast the images. The part about broadcasting or distributing these images are not being discussed, since it has already been established that there is no moral or ethical grounds for it. So let's break that piece apart. Let's imagine an interface that can serve the user any information the user requests it. This interface will not broadcast any of the information requested by the user. Now let's say the user requests information about how to create a virus or a nuclear weapon. If the user has no intention of doing anything with this information, is this request with the interface morally wrong?
If you're like most people in the West, the answer would be no. The phrase "information should be free" supports this statement. The fact that Google exists as a company supports this statement. So clearly the request for information from an interface isn't the morally objectionable part. It would be pretty clear that if the user of the interface intended to use the information against other people, that this would be morally wrong. But the request by itself isn't wrong from most moral frameworks. So what if the user requests information about something that hasn't been published? For example, if a user requests the interface to serve it the next episode of Game of Thrones, before the episode has even been produced, assuming the user is only consuming this information by themselves, is this morally wrong? It can be argued that it's not actually the next episode of Game of Thrones, and instead a fan fiction. And for millions of fan fiction writers, it's not morally wrong, despite being a crime against writing. Even when we start to include some of the ingredients that link this incident to sexual assault, it's still not quite wrong. Let's imagine that the user, who's a man, requests a song from Adele that hasn't been recorded. This user doesn't release the songs, just listens to them, and continues to purchase Adele's albums. Is this wrong? Again, this seems fine. Since it's not actually Adele's song, Adele isn't impacted in any way. There were no wronged party. So the comparison to sexual assault seems to only work if the interface involves some type of sex, but not the request or viewing of any of the information. Let's go back to the interface example, but let's put a bit of spin on this. If a person uses a highly complex algorithm to generate images and videos of someone else solely for their own personal use, then deletes that content afterwards, is this wrong? Given the outrage online, it would seem so, but what if that algorithm is someone's brain? If someone imagines someone else they know naked, and in a variety of sexually explicit scenarios, how is this meaningfully different from using AI to do the same? Is it the use of a computer? Is it the fact that it was typed into a computer? Again, let's imagine someone was in a horrific car accident and no longer has the ability to imagine anything. Then let's say that someone had an experimental procedure to embed an AI in their brain to help them imagine again. Would that person, using AI to imagine, be in the wrong if they imagined someone they know in a sexually explicit scenario? If this is starting to sound like a thought crime and making you uncomfortable, good. While the future trajectory of artificial intelligence and its associated technologies remains uncertain and is still taking shape, it is crucial to keep in mind that AI systems are ultimately unable to generate anything that exists in a truly objective or tangible sense. If at any point you begin to experience an emotional reaction or response to content produced by an AI system, even content that you yourself prompted the system to generate, it is advisable to disconnect from the digital world and go outside to physically interact with and touch the natural environment around you. When you start to feel like AI content is a reflection of reality, take a step back and reconnect with the physical world through activities like going outside, exercising, socializing with other people in person. The solution here is to touch grass, touch grass, touch grass, touch grass, touch grass, grass. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please like it and subscribe to my channel to get more content like this. I hope to see you again soon.